Good morning, Card Communities. RJ back with another video. So let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day from 1988. Another Star Company set. This one of 12 cards. This is the glossy version now. Comes with this little handwritten, hand-typed card. The enclosed card set is limited to The enclosed card set is one of a limited edition of only 1,000 glossy sets issued. Card is set number 286 of 1,000. The thing is, I've never, ever been able to find the regular set. So in other words, if this set is available in a standard blue version without the gloss, you can see the gloss there, I've never seen it. I don't know. Maybe this is blue and the regular one is red. I don't know, but I just find it interesting. I'll just show the images again. The backs of these are so blasé. It's just don't even bother turning it over. As a super collector, you get these just to have them. The way they look is not really worthy of it, but you get it because it's Mike Schmidt. What can I tell you? Mike Schmidt, MVP of the 80s. A lot of publications, when they do their best of the decade, Mike Schmidt was the best of the decade of the 80s in a lot of people's opinions. In my opinion, too. Come on! Who disagrees with me? Tell me you're wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare you. Pro League stats. 11 times an All-Star. If you remember on Monday, my Monday question was, where I showed off this set from 1983, and he was a 7-time All-Star at that time. So, postseason stats, Major League records. It's like he's counting 3. I'm a 3-time MVP now. National League records. That's a pretty good pitch there. You got he's intently looking in there. You got the great picture of the umpire getting in position for the ball and the catcher there. That's a cool picture. Schmidt's awards, transactions. Transactions is just signing a deal. He was never traded. So transactions kind of lame. Times he went on the DL. That's about it. That was for his transactions because he never went anywhere but Philly. Milestone home runs, career fielding, personal data. Again, just basic stuff. The future. Let's see what they say. It gives us regular stats. That's kind of lame. The future is just other things of his past. That's insane. All right, my random Mike Schmidt item of the day there. Today's random baseball item of the day. Again, I show these things off because I'm such a set collector. A lot of these things have zero value. Literally, they are completely worthless. This is one of those things that is absolutely worthless, but I have it because it's a complete set and it was easy for me to acquire. So, 2019 Panini Diamond Kings issued a Joe Jackson set. Randomly inserted into Panini Diamond Kings product that year, you can get one of these various cards. This is the header card, essentially. Talks about what it was. And then you'd get 3 cards in the set. Great images of Joe Jackson, a teeny little bio. Really cool looking cards. I love them because I think the images are really, really awesome. You can see they're numbered JJ1, JJ2. This one is JJ3. But again, another kind of cool card. Interesting, he's wearing a catcher's mitt there. Even first baseman's mitt back in the day kind of looked like catcher's mitt. And then you got this one, which is a collage of the previous 4, and it's a checklist card. So it was really a teeny little set, 3 cards total, featuring Joe Jackson, released by Panini Diamond Kings in 2019. Has zero value. I don't even know if people even bother listing these cards on eBay, but I think it's fantastic. And since it is such a nice little set, complete unto itself, I have it in my collection because RJ does collect sets. Sorry for the break here. I just realized that I forgot to do the trivia question for the day. So let me take a moment and interrupt my video and splice this in for you. So today's trivia question: who is the last pitcher in World Series history to be credited with a victory in the final game of the World Series in 2 consecutive seasons? So this pitcher, it's not that he had to be on the mound when the World Series ended in 2 consecutive years. It's that he is listed as being the winning pitcher of the final game of the World Series in 2 consecutive seasons. That's your question. What you're playing for, as always, 3 awesome Hall of Fame cards. Really cool 1992 Rickey Henderson card, doing what Rickey does best. If you're looking, he's sliding into third. There's the baseline right there. Guy, third baseman, got the ball, but obviously Rickey is clearly in there safe. So great Rickey Henderson card. Figured I'd throw in a really cool manager card, Sparky Anderson. It says, giving the signs, Sparky Anderson. I think he's just putting on his damn hat. I really do. This sign this right there is where he's just put his hat on, and then he's adjusting it, and then he's adjusting the brim, and then he's reaching in the back and pulling it down. I think that's a bunch of BS. I think they just caught him adjusting his hat. Last one, really cool Common Collection card. Bobby Wallace, forgotten Hall of Famer from the turn of the old century. So he started his career in the 1890s, played all throughout the early days of baseball. I have no doubt he has a couple T206 cards in him, but longtime member of the St. Louis Browns. One of the biggest reasons very few people are aware of Bobby Wallace, because he played on some really, really crappy teams. And he was a member of the St. Louis teams before they got good. So Bobby Wallace, Common Collection card. Those 3 cards are what you're playing for. So what you're, if you're interested in those cards, all you got to do is shoot out an email to me, email guess on the question. I will include my email in the description below, along with a repeat of that question. You will have today, tomorrow to answer. We will pick a winner on Sunday, all right? Good luck to everybody on that one. So give me a second. I'm going to come back in and resume the video. And Monday, I showed off my entire run of the Topps box sets. And I told you guys that today I was going to do this. Here it comes. My entire run of Fleer box sets. Now, Fleer, I think Fleer started the box set trend. The reason I say that is, well, Topps did, because they kicked out the Kmart set in 1982, but then they stopped. Well, Fleer, or Topps got back in, I should say this, Topps put out the 82 Kmart set in 1982. And then they didn't put out another set for a couple of years. Then in 1985, they put out 2. Their first Woolworths, where they teamed with Woolworths department store. And then they also put one out for the Circle K convenience stores. So they put out 2 different sets in 1985. Why? I think it was because Fleer put out their first box set. Let's talk about Fleer box sets for a second. Fleer put out a set of cards called Limited Edition in 1985. They're a premier set, complete premier set inside, 44 cards plus 6 sticker cards. Topps was the gum company. They put gum in all their box sets. Fleer would throw in 6 stickers. So if you look in here, I'm not going to pull them out. You can see there's the cards. And in the back there's 6 logo stickers. Same as you would get in the packs or in the box. But this was a different set. And Fleer would go on to produce a massive amount of these sets over the next few years, starting in 1985. This is the only one in 1985. Each box was issued and offered through a different retailer. Now, I did not do the research. I don't have, wasn't able to find much on who issued each box set. I imagine somebody out there can do that research, or maybe has already. But for my purposes, it does not say which retailer you bought these at. And it doesn't have a price tag or anything like that, so I don't know. But every box set that they produced, and they expanded dramatically over the years for the number of sets issued per year, each one was sold through a different retailer. All right? So that's the Fleer box set of 1985. Now, notice that it was called limited edition. That's important. Because unlike Topps, which would just release box sets through different retailers every year, and what the purpose of the set would change often. Fleer maintained the name of the sets almost constantly. So let me show you what I'm talking about. In 1986, there were 3 sets issued. Okay. All right. So the limited edition. This one was called the limited edition, but it also was called Sluggers versus Pitchers. While the limited edition style remains the same, the limited edition moniker was also used on other releases that year. So this one's called Baseball Superstars as well. The last one says limited edition down here, but it's Major League Leaders. So you will find Baseball Superstars, Sluggers versus Pitchers, and League Leaders recurring often, as well as the Comet League Leaders, or limited edition. So here's your checklist for the limited edition 1986 set. All right. Baseball Superstars. Interestingly, these were printed in the USA, whereas Topps went overseas to Ireland. Sluggers versus Pitchers, 86. There's your checklist. And then Major League Baseball League Leaders, limited edition. There's your checklist. So only 3 sets produced in 1986. In 1987, it exploded into 9 different box sets. Now, some of them here, as I go through them, I remember seeing a retail establishment advertised on one of the box sets, so we may be able to pinpoint where some of these sets were sold. All right? So here you go, Baseball All-Stars. They always say limited edition. They really weren't limited. There were billions of them produced. But you could only get them at whatever retail establishment had these. So this was 1987 Baseball All-Stars. Then they had a new one called Award Winners. Once again, though, it always said limited edition on it. Always 44 cards with 6 stickers. There's your checklist. Baseball's Best Sluggers versus Pitchers is back. And here's your checklist. I'm trying to see if I can't find any made in USA expressly for the McRory Corporation out of York, PA. I'm not sure if McRory was a vendor or something. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to find out what retail establishment sold these in their stores. Baseball's Exciting Stars was a new name. Here's your checklist for the Exciting Stars. Game Winners, another newbie. Again, there's 9 of them in 1987. They went crazy. Always 44 cards and 6 stickers. Here's your Game Winners checklist. And again, there's no rhyme or reason, I don't think, why they ever included these players. Everyone on this one had a unique front, but the back was always the career stats. The back was always the career stats, and never an explanation as to why these guys were in the set. There was never anything that hinted as to why. Why did these guys make the list? There was never anything. Here's Hottest Stars. There was never a little bio whereas this person did this or this person did that. It literally, every card simply has their career stats on the back. Now here's one I'm talking about. So this one here is a Walgreens exclusive. If you remember I was talking about back in Monday's video. I don't know why places like Walgreens don't do it anymore. These box sets, I think they'd sell a lot of them for the kids. I'd buy tons of them, I tell you that much. So this was a Walgreens exclusive, the league leaders from 1987. I don't know if Walgreens stayed with the league leader ones. Here's record setters. And again, everyone's a limited edition. Oh, here's Eckerd. Okay, so this is Eckerd drugstores, an Eckerd exclusive. There you go. So again, every once in a while, you'll see the name of the retail establishment. That's why they made so many. They were able to get into deals with various retail establishments and sell these limited edition sets only at those retail establishments. So here's the limited edition once again. Baseball Superstars limited edition, 1987. There's your checklist. So that was 1987. I'm going to put these back here. Here's 1988. 1988 saw 10. They upped their game, one more box set. Get your All-Stars again. 1988 checklist. And again, I'm just showing off the sets. My purpose here is not to show off the cards themselves. I wanted you to see the sets. We can do the cards another day. But there's your checklist. These cards, again, a lot of people aren't necessarily interested in these cards unless you're a super collector. Very few people are out there like me who want every one of these box sets. Baseball's best sluggers versus pitchers. And that logo always pretty much stayed the same. The sluggers, this is the first one from 86. And that big S and the big P, red and blue, pretty much stayed the same throughout the life of those cards. So here's sluggers versus pitchers from 88. There's your checklist. Exciting stars again. And the checklist. Again, no indication on this one who the retailer was, but every once in a while you'll find it with the retailer on the front. Fleer's Hottest Stars. That was always a great one, of the hottest stars. And not every box contained every player. I was a little miffed that sometimes I wouldn't get a Mike Schmidt card in these box sets, but of course I have a separate binder. My Mike Schmidt card has all of the Mike Schmidt ones from these Fleer box sets. Dropping things here. I don't think it tells you complete set. See, it says a complete set in every box. That's how you know it's a box set in my mind. Here you go. This was a Toys R Us exclusive. Interesting to note, Toys R Us was double dipping. By now, Toys R Us had an agreement with Topps too, and they were selling Topps sets through Toys R Us. Here they are, the MVP set produced by Fleer, Baseball MVPs, was also sold at Toys R Us. So they weren't necessarily exclusive. The companies, here's an Eckerd exclusive, again, the baseball record setters. Did Eckerd do the record setters on this one? Yeah, so Eckerd got the title record setters that belonged to them. So again, I think that whatever the name of the set was, that retailer got that name. You know, then Fleer did it that way. Topps, they just kicked out a set of cards for those retailers, regardless of what they called it every year. There's the record setters from 88 checklist. Believe it or not, there's still two more from 88. This is Baseball Superstars, limited edition. Checklist. And then lastly, Team Leaders, KB exclusive. And again, KB in 1988 had cards, a little box set they were selling for Topps. So you did have the retailers double dipping every once in a while on these little box sets. Made sense because, again, baseball cards were king back in the 80s, So 9 sets in 87, 10 sets in 88, and then it came back to earth a little bit. Things started slowing down. 89, the All-Star set. Always 44 cards and 6 stickers, always. Here's your checklist. Exciting Stars. No indication of a retailer. Who were the exciting stars? There's where your exciting stars of 89. Heroes of Baseball. Heroes of Baseball was a Woolworth exclusive. So again, it's likely some of these others were Woolworth releases, and Woolworth had a long-standing relationship with Topps dating all the way back to 1985. 89 limited edition Woolworths. Heroes of Baseball. Checklist. League leaders. And your checklist. MVPs, which was the Toys R Us exclusive. Was the MVP Toys R Us exclusive? Let me turn it this way. I don't see it on the top. Maybe it was here. Thought I saw a Toys R Us right there. So here was the Toys R Us one. That was MVPs. Yeah, so Toys R Us got the MVP. Let me turn it this way so you can see. Those are the ones we got. Oh, Revco. Revco did one. Look at that. Toys R Us got the MVP. Even this one was, if you flip here, was the MVP. So Toys R Us got the MVP moniker. And then here's the limited edition Baseball Superstars and their checklist. Now, Topps kept producing box sets through 1991. They only had 2 in 1991. That was the Woolworth and the Toys R Us. Fleer's last year was 1990. Now, the 1989 and the 1990 box sets are hard to find. I don't know why, but they're very hard to find. They're still not worth a lot. I mean, they're still $5 sets, but getting a whole box set in its box has become problematic. So here's the limited edition All-Stars. No indication of a retailer, but there's your checklist. The award winners, limited edition, and your checklist. They really started getting very bland with the packaging. The checklists look almost identical there. I mean, just the layout not exact checklist, but the way the checklists are presented just starts to look pretty bland. League leaders, so the baseball limited edition league leaders, and a checklist. Somebody once told me Don Mattingly is the one player in every box set. Baseball MVP, and again, it was a Toys R Us exclusive. So again, Fleer kept the same name for the set for each retailer that was issued. So, I mean, if we go back to Revco, Revco did the Fleer's Hottest Stars. So anytime you saw Hottest Stars, sorry about that. Anytime you saw Hottest Stars, it was Revco. Anytime you saw the team leaders, it was Kmart. Anytime you saw the record setters, it was Eckerd. So interesting like that. That is the extent, I'm going to put the other ones back in here too, of the Fleer box set collection. That's every box set Fleer made from 1985 through 1990. Outside of 1990, they stopped pushing out these little retail box sets, never to go again. Donruss never did a retail box set. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Perhaps some of the other things were there, but he didn't do these little card deck-sized box sets like Fleer did and like Topps did. Donruss never did it. Score never did it. There's a lot of card companies out there that existed, but only Donruss, only Fleer and Topps were actually issuing these box sets. You won't find any other of the big manufacturers issuing these box sets. Now, there are a number of box sets listed under the tradingcarddatabase.com, including a lot of the Donruss and whatnot was, but they're not these small sets like this. They were issued as sets only in a box set format, but they weren't these little retail things that I like so much. Just saying. So anyway, that is my video for you today. Again, I'm just showing off some cool, complete set of sets that I've acquired over the years for those things. So just wanted you to see that today for Fleer. Again, we got the trivia question from yesterday. I'm sorry, not yesterday, from Monday and today. And we'll have one more on Friday. Then we'll do the recap on Sunday, so come back from that. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week. I hope to see you again on Friday. Not sure what I'm going to show off yet on Friday, but you'll find out. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, and take care.